Audio is recording. Yeah, that's good.
Tomato cans.
Tomato cans. Motherfucking tomato cans. Let's scope it out from outside. Make sure we're good.
We should shut the lights off.
Hello. Right. Hello. You're gonna have to like hold that mic.
Like hold it up?
Yeah, you're it's kind of like you're performing. You know what I mean?
Like this?
Yeah. Just because you're gonna have to keep it a little closer. Actually, we can move. Let me see it for a second.
What about like a box or something? Move it up.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be directly on you.
Just it'll reduce echo and stuff. There.
How about that?
Yeah.
So
Let's do that.
How was it? Camera good?
We're all three in the frame. It's good
All
enough.
right.
Oh yeah.
Well, shit, guys. All right. I got sound.
Check.
Mic check.
Yeah, we all got sound. So pretty much good to go. Let's I did notice too, one thing we should do is we need like have dead silence just to get the lowest possible room sound.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll help with editing as far as pulling out all the background noise. So before we record, let's just give it like a couple seconds of just dead noise, probably like 4 or 5 seconds.
Boom!
Oh, fuck it. Hey, guys, what's up? Tomato cans.
Tomato cans.
Here we go. Of course, as always, be nasty.
Tomato can be nasty.
Tomato Can be nasty. We got Tomato Can Dre Day in studio right now.
Dre Day, snitches, Dre Day.
Snitches get stitches, bitches. That's Dre Day. And he's a regular. He'll be back more and more as we keep going. And I don't know. Who am I?
I like sperm, man. I think you should stick with sperm.
What should I go with?
I'm going to go, man, there's so much to
I
choose
know.
from.
This is something that I can't pick it, though. I got to have you guys pick it for me. I can't be doing that.
Oh, it's got to be sperm, but, Deadly Gumby.
Oh, I like Deadly Gumby.
That's a mouthful to say, man.
Tomato Can Deadly Gumby.
Yeah.
All right, we'll work on that shit. But what's up, fellas? How's it going?
Nothing much, man. Just another busy week of work.
Another day, another
Another
dollar.
day.
Another day, another dollar, man.
Fucking Friday night. Welcome, guys. We made it.
Right.
Been trying to stay COVID free.
Man, I've been waiting for this night all week, man.
Dude, I've been really excited about
But I'm so
this.
fucking tired of hearing about coronavirus and shit, dude. I'm fucking over it, man.
Oh my god, that's a tough one, right?
Man, this is what I got to say about this quarantine. It could suck nuts. I'm so tired of seeing my house. So tired.
God. Did you guys hear about the restaurant in Tempe where they caught shit because as soon as Lucy opened, let the restaurants open up, a bunch of patrons came and they packed. I guess they have an outside deck or some shit, and somebody flew one of their a camera over and took a picture, and it was fucking like 100 people outside on the outside balcony and shit. They called the cops and stuff. The thing is that the restaurant can only do so much, right? Like they told everybody, hey, we gotta practice social distancing and everything. But I guess somebody got pissed off, called the cops. Cops came there, and big ups to the props on this one for the cops on this one because they didn't like try to make it a big deal. You know what I mean? So they just said, hey, everybody, just try to keep your distance and everything, and try to cause more drama for the business owners or cause drama for the patrons. So at least that's something good, man.
Yeah, it's kind of like all social pressure right now. Even in the stay-at-home order, they said like there's no way to actually enforce this.
Right.
There is no penalty for anything.
Right.
So people just either choose to do it or not. But man, I'm saying, like, what do you expect? 2 months sitting at home?
Yeah, that's nothing? A lot, man. Especially for people who are nickel and diming right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, barely have enough to survive on, and then they finally get to go and they try to do the right thing, and they just want to earn a living, try to put food on the table for their families. And they go out there, and other people, maybe they don't have the same, they're not in the same predicament. You know what I mean? So they don't feel that remorse for the other people that really need that money to survive. Or I don't know what the case is, but
hold up. It's going to change based on what restaurant we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, like Ruth Chris had to give back that $20 million.
Yeah. Well, I don't see any reason for them not being able to give that money back.
Right.
When you consider. But, this is something else, though. I think I may have talked to you about this, B, is, some of these franchising restaurants, right? Like, you actually start looking into these franchising restaurants. Yeah, you have a big name, a nationally known name across your sign or whatever, your billboard. However, like, some of those companies, it's individuals that have worked their way up and paid their way to buy this franchise and actually, earned an establishment and paid for this establishment. So yeah, they're paying, for the name of this company, but they did all the hard work to get there. And so it's weird when you hear people getting on to other companies for taking bailouts or people wanting money. But even some of these national chains, each individual is a franchised restaurant. So It comes down to that mom and pop that owns it. It doesn't come down to, whatever the big name. It doesn't come down to McDonald himself. It comes down to these individual franchisers that own the restaurants. With that being said, if you own like 5 McDonald's or some shit, I don't really.
You're not suffering that.
Yeah, I don't really think you deserve that bailout. But I'm just saying there are outlying examples in any situation that can bring to question what it might be. You know what I mean?
That's a hard concept to think about, though, because you have, like you said, essentially a small business owner that's paying the man, right? And then they may not have that money just to float to the next one like the big corporation arguably does.
Right.
I agree with that, man. I'm a small business owner, and I've kind of looked at this like all different angles. When it first happened, I was wondering, like, okay, well, is my life about to change because the government's telling me what I can and can't do? And then I realized, well, I fall into an essential business, which I don't know how essential it is,
Right.
But are people gonna come to me? And it's scary. I was sitting there. I literally had the event of, sitting there, I have a new baby, props to me, but had a new baby. And it was like, I went to go get formula online and there was no formula. Like Walmart was out of formula.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And I literally had this moment of like savage mode where it's like, I'm not even playing, man.
Right.
Like savage mode where I was like, oh, my baby's getting formula. It's just a matter of how. Anyway, Amazon was selling it for like triple the price, so I paid for it.
Were they really?
Yeah, they were selling it for $180.
Right. It wasn't Amazon. It's just some supplier.
Some supplier, right?
Third
party. Hey, sorry, Amazon. Yeah. I didn't mean to throw you under the bus. Yeah, some third party was selling it through. Yeah, which is fine. But then I got to thinking about people living paycheck to paycheck. Literally, that same person in those same shoes, but doesn't have the money, or didn't, I was in the moment of, I had some extra for next week. Right, I don't wait till the last minute, but it kind of scared me to think what people are capable of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's funny that you thought that you're bringing that up, because I was thinking to myself, just about that whole idea, like the people that are really suffering compared to the ones that aren't, right? My wife, she was off work for 6-7 weeks.
That's scary though.
I started a brand new business, so my situation, it is what it is. I wasn't able to file unemployment for my business. I'm not complaining about it. I understand where I was in my business being built and where we're at right now. So for my end and my aspect, that's not an issue. But I start thinking, and like I was saying, I started thinking about, what about those people like the ones that you might see at the grocery store that you talk to, and they might just put a smile on your face because they were that nice to you, just checking you out for groceries or doing whatever, just the random person that you come across. This situation isn't affecting me at all, as badly as it is other people.
Right.
Even as far as what I think about coronavirus and the impact that it's going to have on myself, my wife, my kids, I don't feel like I'm in a situation where it's dire at this point. You know what I mean? As we get more information, I start to understand I'm in a pretty good situation. My wife and kids, we're in the greater odds as opposed to the smaller odds. Right. So I don't have that problem. But I start thinking, like, for me to sit here and say, does COVID impact my life every day? It's no big deal. But then what about those people, the random people that maybe you only see on the occasion, or that you only see once every 3 weeks, or you might come across, but they've impacted you somehow, even if it's just a smile or just have a nice day, whatever the fuck it might be. What about their family? Right. You know what I mean? And you don't know, like, we don't know from outside of our perspective, we don't know about that grocery store clerk and what they've had to go through to this point. You know what I mean? It's tough. It's a scary thing to think about, but it really is affecting every individual or every family fucking different. You know what I mean? And
yeah, there's nobody that's unscathed by this, man.
Right.
To some degree, obviously there's going to be some people that are more impacted, the ones who actually had loved ones that passed away from it. Those guys are the ones that get hit the hardest. But no matter how you look at it, when you're put in a position where you're being told to stay inside and not do whatever it is that you feel you need to do, that's some kind of impact. What I don't understand is we're all in the same boat, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
I think that isn't it time now for us to reflect and have compassion for each other? Instead, what disgusts me is that still in the midst of all this bullshit, how the political lines are being divided. You know what I mean?
Right.
The ones who want to go out and they feel the need to go back and earn and put food on the table, they're being branded as the far right. You know what I mean? And they don't care about anybody else but themselves. And the ones who feel that they have to abide by the restrictions and stuff, they're being branded by the far left. So is it really that cut and dry? Is it really that black and white? You know what I mean?
And I don't think it is at all whatsoever. Just to touch on that exact same fucking thing. It's like, I look at, even going around and seeing the difference between people that wear a mask in their car versus that don't.
Those fuckers need to stay inside.
I mean,
man.
I'm saying right now, I will say right now, I have driven by several people sitting in their fucking car by themselves with their fucking mask on.
Yeah.
And I gotta chuckle. And I don't do it because I'm like, hey, they're really taking the extra step. I do it because I just think to myself, like, are you fucking kidding me? You know what I mean? Like, you're by yourself. Like,
but I mean, that's the thing. People are scared.
Yeah.
I know I started out in this thing like, man, I was like, I'm not staying indoors. I'm not doing anything because I don't think it's going to affect me. And I think it's going to affect a very small amount of people. That was my honest starting position.
And that's proven to be the case.
And it has.
Yeah.
But then I had to take a deeper look and say, well, you know what? The people that I see most are at risk.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have a greater responsibility, even if they don't protect themselves? They don't protect themselves. They come and see me. I give them something.
Right.
They give somebody something. And I really did. I mean, you guys know, like, all I really like to do is train jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And I like what I do for a living, but I really had to take a hard look at that and say, you know what? I probably don't get to make that decision for people.
Correct.
And
before you go any further, go ahead and let's tell people what you do so they understand. Dre Day is our lawyer, the greatest fucking lawyer on this side of the Mississippi and on the other side of the Mississippi as well. I'll just go ahead and throw that out
there.
The
planet. Let's just go with the planet.
Yeah, on the planet. I'll take that.
Yeah, no, I'm an estate planning attorney. So I do estate plans for some of our older citizens. It's my pleasure to do it. But yeah, it just got me thinking about all of it, you know, where it's like my initial, I'm not changing a thing. But I said, well, I will change, you know, and I started shifting how I did business, started doing telephone meetings, video conferencing meetings, and started turning down some of the clients that did want to see me in person. But here's the X factor there. That worked, right? What if it didn't?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
what role does the government have over my ability to provide for my family? You know, it's strange when you start thinking about dynamics that don't affect you personally, but really did get me thinking about other people. I don't know. That's a tough one. It's a really tough one.
Right.
Especially when I know what percentage of clients wanted to come see me and were trying to talk me into it.
Mm.
So we have like the country being told what to do, those that are most high risk. And this is just a snippet. You know, I can't say that's for everybody.
Right.
But you have a snippet of people that may represent a bigger microcosm that want to see me. And then all the people that arguably aren't affected are the ones changing their behavior. So, and at great cost to some.
I've been hearing that a lot. I've been hearing like people going to the stores in Sun City and stuff, that none of the old people are wearing any protective gear, you know, any PPEs. It's mainly the younger people.
Well, and it's area dependent, right? And then I know, Dre, we were talking about it off air, but I mean, even the grocery store you go to, you know, we can go to the one right here that's down the street from our house and everything's gone.
Mm-hmm.
But you go to the one that's in Sun City or that's 10 minutes away from us where there's a different demographic where things are a little different, you can find the same shit that's barely been touched.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I happened to be up there and I said, well, since I'm here, I've been looking for eggs. This is way more towards the beginning. I really was. I was looking for eggs everywhere.
Right.
Yeah, I was. And then I was up in an office I have in Sun City West and said, well, I've never been in that grocery store in my life. Let me check it out. And it was packed.
Oh,
like,
nice.
It was packed. Like, there were some things that were skimp, you know, but I mean, people were there.
Yeah.
Right.
And, you know, we know that demographic is all older folks, mainly retirees, but they didn't seem to have the same importance that just down the street. I found that dichotomy kind of interesting, not strange, just interesting. You know, like we were talking earlier, everybody has their perspective of life.
Mm-hmm.
And I wondered what theirs was. Was it, hey, I'm in my last years and I'm not going to let somebody tell me where I can and can't go? Are they just, I don't understand it.
Right.
I don't understand what makes people do what they do all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I did think that is a black and white dichotomy of what's happening 5 miles down the road.
Right.
And it's being sold as we need to do this to protect
them. The ones who couldn't give a shit less, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm trying to be PC.
We kind of brushed off on this a couple episodes ago about the pussification of this next generation. It was
briefly mentioned, and then we just kind of went on. But yeah, no, 100%, right? I mean,
they grew up on harder times.
Yeah,
I do, man. That's probably it right there.
That's probably it. That's, you know, I mean, you grow up hard and you build thick skin. And then to our generation, we're kind of transitional. I mean, we had hard times, but we also got to see the progression into current times.
Right.
You know, our kids definitely did not grow up the way that we grew up. You know what I mean?
On that note, so I went by to check on our kids at the elementary school, right? So I pull up, say, hey, you guys good? And Jaden comes over. That's my son. He comes over to the window and he's like, we're kind of hungry. And I was like, cool. He's like, do you have any sandwiches?
Did you just pull up with sandwiches?
I was like, but that's the point. That's the point, though. I would have never in a million years, not one moment in my head, if he checked up on me.
Right.
Because maybe that's my bad.
If you pulled up to see how you were doing, the last thing in your fucking mind is, I bet this motherfucker's got some sandwiches.
So I was just looking at him, right? I didn't say anything. And he said, and then we just kind of stared at each other. And he was like, or snacks. And I was like, man, what is wrong with you? But I'm the one raising him.
Right.
I'm the one raising him. And I feel like our generation is 50-50.
Right.
We have 50 that's just like that. And then we have 50, I don't know, that work for a living.
Kind of suck it up, or, no blood, no foul. You know what I mean? Like, I look at that the same, and I deal with this, especially now over this quarantine with the girls, with my daughters. And, I mean, they'll be like, Dad, I'm hungry. And I'm like, okay, cool. You're 12. You're 10. Can I have a biscuit? Yeah, there's biscuits sitting literally 3 feet away. Just go fucking heat one up. And she's like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, you waited, you sat here in the hot sun, hungry. How long have you been hungry for?
Right, yeah.
Meanwhile, you have skateboards. The house is 2 blocks from this
you made
school
it,
right now.
You made it to where you were somehow, right? Right. I don't think you lost a leg. You're still shooting baskets. You're still doing what you want to do. Nobody's hurt. Get your fucking ass back to get food, right?
That's exactly what I told him. I said, hey, man, you know where the house is at.
Yep.
But I'm wondering, like, how... So, I mean, maybe it's my bad for stopping and checking in on him.
Yeah, you just don't do that, right?
But
then you're a bad dad.
But then I'm a bad dad if I don't, right? I mean, I was driving by. I'll do it 100 out of 100. But I'm like, what is happening in society that my impact as a man and the way I look at life has no impact on the way he sees life?
Right.
Like, he expected magical sandwiches to pop out of my pockets.
Like you were just going to show up this fucking sandwich Santa. Here we go.
But it's a good point to the different ways we're going to look at the same event.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that. I believe that generation was tougher and responsible for all the problems in the economy and the political system.
I mean, you look at where we're at now. And to touch on just like what you were saying, I mean, you look now, right? And a lot of the progressives, like the diehard progressives that are far left, that age is getting younger and younger when you start looking at like the real hardcore, you know what I mean? When you look at like the Bernie Sanders movement, especially, I mean, a majority of those people were people our age or younger, it seemed like. And that brought in a whole new crowd that you really hadn't seen before from any sort of political party. I mean, unfortunately, it didn't work out for Bernie in that sense, you know what I mean? But you just look at it.
Unfortunately.
Or yeah, we're fortunate, Who knows? Who knows?
No,
right?
Who knows? Yeah.
I mean,
do we ever?
Yeah, we don't. And who's to say Biden's going to be that much better than Trump if he was the one that beats him? And I don't think he's going to beat him. But with that being said, my point being is this, it's differences. These every group comes up with a different kind of lifestyle, a different point of view, a different opinion about things. And these kids, man, they like those handouts a little bit more than I think the generations before us did.
Yeah, there's a lot less pride towards those things. Although I do have to say one thing about this generation that's coming up now. There's a lot more compassion. There's a lot more vision towards healing the earth, doing more good for the benefit of all. Whereas the older generations, like you were saying, they fucked up a lot of shit, man.
No, I agree. We're definitely starting to see globally, not just nationally, globally on an economic level, on a scientific level, on environmental level, all these things that for years and years and years went unchecked, or they went a certain way. Now we're getting to a point where we can start questioning things and saying there's different ways to do things. We can make things more efficient or better, And
the proof is out there. Right,
even in this quarantine.
Yeah, just from the first month after the quarantine, the global quarantine, like rivers were starting to clear up. The sky looked better.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're seeing like in Venice, or in places where, or in Venice especially, they have all the canals, and all the canals they cleared up in a short amount of time, and fish were swimming back in the canals. And now again, some of this stuff, even though we're talking about. There's a lot of misinformation in that. Right. But with that being said, yes, there were definitely some positives environmentally and economically that can be made out of this. We just have to capitalize or keep going. I think it shows that we can build off of some of this stuff, like, when they say like, natural or like solar power or water power or wind power, they say that kind of stuff doesn't work out or it's going to affect us in a negative way. Well, look, dude, in the situation we're in right now, those focuses have not been a major thing. What's happened? Oil crash. WTI oil at one point, just not that long ago, was at negative $30 a barrel. And that's off of this fucking oil dependency. So the same system that we're running, that we've been running for however many years, all of a sudden it capitulates, fucking turns over on its own head, and you look at it and you say, if the most sacred of our energy sources, oil, can have that happen, like, where's our backup? Where's our fail-safe? You know what I mean? So that off of alone just makes you say, like, we can use multiple energy sources. We can do things better.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That also tells me that it should be a clear reminder to the people that the power is in the people, not these corporations. You can't, if we choose to ban and if we choose to go for 2 months without using our cars as much as we do, we can cripple these people, these giant corporations who think they're invincible, and they can just keep on sucking the lifeblood out of the earth. You know what I mean?
Right. You know, it's scary to think, like, if we had a piece of paper, that if we had the appropriate piece of paper in our possession at the time and we had the space theoretically to do it, we could have had somebody pay us X amount of money per barrel of oil for them to store it in our facility, and now it's our possession. They paid us for it, and then when all this shit starts to turn back around, now we can unload that we got paid to be given to us.
Wow.
And we can turn that around from where we bought it in a negative sense to we're selling it in a positive $30. Think about that. Negative 30 when you acquire it.
This dude, man.
And you get it and sell it at positive 30.
This idea. Now.
But I'm just saying.
I'm saying, man. What I'm saying is, next time you have an idea like that,
I know, right?
Why don't we do that,
bro? Hey, if our tomato can studio was bigger, I tell you what, the other half of this room would be all oil barrels.
We have 7 barrels sitting right over there.
So we'd be sitting on oil barrels. We wouldn't have these red fancy chairs. We'd be on oil barrels right now, man. But it's just,
that's crazy, man.
It's crazy to think, though. You know what I mean? And what is that? Is that pure capitalism, or is that a vulnerability in the system that enabled it to get to this point? Who the fuck knows, right? Really, who knows?
That's tough, man. That's kind of like what I was talking about. That one person, whoever, that was selling the formula at $160. Is that just pure capitalism? Or is that a cold-hearted person?
Right.
Or maybe they bought a bunch of different stuff and we're upping the price a little bit. It's hard. It is hard to say. But for this short little snippet of time, it's pretty safe to say that was a good idea that we missed out on. And
right.
I hold you personally responsible for that.
Right. Yeah, right. Well, and who's the bigger scumbag? Who's the bigger scumbag? The guy, and even when all this first started going down, I don't know if you guys heard, there was a couple of those dudes that bought X amount of thousands of hand sanitizers and they just stored it in the garage.
Yep.
And then it fucking backfired on them, right?
Yeah, they got death threats and stuff, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, the news came out there. So am
I
making that up?
No. They ended up saying they were going to turn around and donate all that profit. Save face.
I bet you were.
My point being is, so to touch on that, and with our quote unquote X norm scenario, who's the asshole? The guy that does that, or what about the guy that buys movie tickets or concert tickets? Not movie tickets, concert tickets. They buy them on the first 10 minutes of them being released. And I'm guilty of this shit too. I've done it before. I'm not saying I haven't. But I sit on the tickets, and then you sell them and you make a little profit off the top end of these movie tickets or concert tickets. Point being is, who's the real asshole and why? You know what I mean? Is that shit happens, and during everyday life, if things are normal, you hear about that kind of stuff. You hear about the little man saying, well, so-and-so, the scalper, is making extra money off the top end. Well, now look at this, man. There's situations where people need these supplies, these PPE, and they can't get it, or people are charging such a ridiculous amount.
But playing devil's advocate to it, right? So implicitly we're talking trash on her older generation, right?
Right.
Well, I mean, when polio was a thing, when they found the vaccine, what did the person that found the vaccine do? Gave it to the public.
Right.
He didn't patent it, sell it like Big Pharma does now,
right,
and start selling it at a range that people can't even afford it. You know, I don't think you should have to be rich to stay alive.
definitely.
You know, so I mean, to me, it's like, man, there's a mind shift. There's a mind shift where the focus is more self-centered now, as opposed to we're all in this together.
Mm-hmm.
What if Tesla becomes the guy and not Edison? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of the same theory, right?
Yeah.
Was Edison had this idea, Tesla had the same idea, but Tesla's was free for all.
Right.
Well, we got
that's
the
the other
coming.
thing too, though. I mean, there is the second coming, but when that second coming's after I'm gone, I don't know how good I feel. But maybe he does feel good. But here's the other part of it. Like, when you have a society that's based around profit, it kind of goes further.
It stimulates.
Quicker.
Stimulates. Yeah.
I mean, so there's two sides to the coin. I mean, I've heard the whatever. I'm not commenting on Joel Osteen as a person, or if you believe in it or not. I'm not commenting.
Motherfucker should be taxed. That's all I'm gonna say.
I should be taxed.
I should be taxed.
But you know, you look at one argument is you look at what his organization does and all the good they do in the world, and it's like, should he not be compensated for that? And let's pretend he's doing it for money. We don't know he is. Some people believe he is. Some people don't. I don't know. I don't know the man.
Right.
But let's say he is doing it for money. Well, should he be compensated for more good than all three of us put together may ever do in our entire lifetimes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I've had that. I mean, even the same exact argument. Look at like Bezos, right?
Mm-hmm.
With Amazon or Bill Gates, you know, and a lot of those conversations about how they make X amount of money, they make millions in a day, or what, you know, whatever
how many people do they employ?
Yeah, and whatever statistic you want to throw out. But then, you know, even Bezos, not too long ago, I'd have to look it up to say, but he donated X amount of millions, if not a billion, whatever the number is. You know, he donated that for charity or to go to certain things. And a lot of initial people's reactions are to complain. Like, well, he's worth this much amount. Why would he only donate that? Motherfucker just donated more than the three of us and then some will ever donate in their fucking lives combined.
Or ever make.
Combined.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny, and this maybe touches on, like, what we're saying, the shift in society, that these people are complaining about, well, this guy could have done more. And it's like, okay, yeah, he could have, but so could you.
Well, that's my thing.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I don't have the mindset. I don't have the money consciousness. I'm not the person that is capable of doing it, at least today, because I'm not doing it.
Right.
So what right do I have to take my small-minded opinions and try and apply it to a bigger consciousness?
Extrapolate that out to somebody else, you know? We're dealing with thousands. This guy's dealing with millions, if not billions. And to say our situation whatsoever, no matter how minute it is, but I agree. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, there's a little bit of that, you know, like people don't know their lanes anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, even a simple thing, like I remember this kid like walked out in front of my car. Like, he walked right out in front of it, and you know, I slammed on the brakes. I wasn't going too fast in the parking lot, and he's just staring me down like this, a little high school punk. The only thing that kept his ass from getting whipped was because I was wearing dress shoes. And I thought it would not look tough no matter which way it went if I was wearing dress shoes.
Right. Well, and the only thing that saved him from fucking taking an ambulance ride is the fact you're paying attention.
But I mean, I kid a little bit, but
he treats it like it's your fault.
Staring at me like there's some inherent authority that he has, like, to be walking where he's walking. Never mind, I'm in a vehicle.
And he gives you the "how dare you" look.
Yeah, he walked in front of me. Yeah, he gives me it's that mentality, you know, which, like, we were talking about, like, this whole thing, like the polio thing. Like, isn't that the mentality that makes you want to keep it for yourself? Mm-hmm. That you're willing to watch people die and be cold-hearted to it? And I'm not saying, I don't know the answers. I don't, but it's an interesting question to pose.
Well, and bring that one forward, like, more recently, look at, like, you know who Martin Shkreli is?
Yeah.
same thing, right?
Smirking in court and everything.
And he's taken, whatever I don't want to butcher the medication off the top of my head. I can't think of what it is, but same idea, right? He buys this medication or buys the rights to it from somebody else who was giving it to their patients at an affordable price, and he blatantly and outright did it in the sense and the aspect of knowing that he can jack it up. And it's kind of a thumb in the nose. It's also kind of bringing it to the forefront and the realization that this is how easy it is. And yeah, he got in trouble for it, but it's as simple as that. It comes down to that individual.
But how many people aren't? They make one big example, but I mean, Big Pharma, don't come after me. Hopefully, right? Not that many people are watching
right.
this.
How many will fall through the cracks? Right?
I mean, that is the norm,
right?
I mean, our society is based on making profit, as much profit as somebody will give, and there isn't really a cap on that. If I do estate plans, right? If somebody's going to pay me $30,000 to do one, am I going to turn that person away and say, you know what, this particular one's only worth $3,000?
Right. Well, that's a good. Now I'm going to switch it up, but that's a good point. Validation, right? Validation for valuation of yourself.
Validation for valuation of yourself.
And as far
you
as
didn't just make that up, did you?
Yeah, I did. As a matter of fact, right off the dome. But the point is so you look at the valuation, right, of what you do as a service to somebody else, and then you try to validate that valuation to yourself or to your client.
Right.
Where do you come up with that? And I only ask that because especially starting out in my own home inspection business, I'm not established whatsoever. You've definitely been established in your lane in your field for a lot longer than I am with my home inspection business. But there's a point, and it's been talked about, even that whole the validation phase. There's times where I think about the shit that I went through to get licensed, and the shit that I paid, and the shit that I've done to get to where I'm at now, and I charge somebody else for that service. There's a part of me that says yeah, that's true. That's what I should be making. And then there's that part of me that also says really? I made that much money for doing this job? You know what I mean? But somewhere therein lies the problem, as far as where do you evaluate and validate what you do compared to what somebody should pay you for that same service,
I mean, there's the market rate, I mean, you have to, my 2 cents on it is you have to have a money consciousness.
Right.
Right? Until you've lived that way for a while, it's going to feel funny.
Right.
Right.
And then it's based off of people coming to you, getting that service, you doing it. That builds itself up. That's what makes your business what it is. That's what makes you as a professional in that field. You as a lawyer, saying I've done X amount of these cases, or I've done X amount of these wills and estates and trusts. And that's where you build up that confidence to validate more of your valuation, right?
I mean, so I have a firm belief that the use value that someone takes from me should be exponentially higher than the money value that I take from them.
Yeah, that's a perfect, I honestly, putting it in the same thing with my expertise, you could not put it in a better way, right? So what you're doing value-wise, even in your head, exponentially, that amount that you're making is worth, and then put a variable on that number, X times to them. You know what I mean? What you're doing in your service, you're offering, in the long run for them is 10 times better than that, or 5 times better, whatever it might be.
I mean, think about it this way. So I'm going to use a hypothetical, which may or may not be a client I've seen in the past. But, I'm working against
I got warrants. So
I had an opposing counsel who is basically saying it's a probate estate. Who gets stuff when we die, right? Opposing counsel says my client gets everything. And I called up as a courtesy, hey, I have this client. What's your take? Oh, okay. I didn't really see it that way. This attorney had been around. He'd been around for 30 years.
Right.
Right. So I'm like, man, I hope he's not right. But he sounded pretty confident. Well, it turns out he was 100% wrong. Like my client was entitled to everything. And had my client not contacted me and I wasn't representing him or her, she or he,
they would have lost out.
They would have lost out. They would have gotten nothing. This person that wasn't entitled to anything would have gotten everything.
Right.
So, but yeah, I don't do my work for free, but for the 1,000 that I made, he or she made hundreds of thousands more of dollars.
Right.
So, you know, when it, yeah, you know what? The fee that I charge to me personally is a lot of money compared to what I'm used to from where I came from where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
But the exchange rate is on par. And I understand why I should get paid what I get paid to do that.
And then some.
And then some.
Yeah.
But at the point where you're charging $100,000 a pill for someone that's going to need 3 pills a day and people are sick, how much does it cost to generate that pill?
Yeah.
You know, what's the societal worth of that? And then honestly, where's people's morals with it? Like morally, I'm not going to take 50% of what I just earned. That's hers.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Anyway, I have a kind of an issue with that. You know, at some point there's morality that has to come into the equation, at least the way I look at it.
I think that's the key, man. I mean, no matter what, the market is going to dictate how much they want to pay for a certain service or a certain product, right? In that situation of the pill, it takes the market rate out of the factor. You know what I mean?
You have to.
Right. So I think at the end of the day, if you as the person providing that service, providing that product, you can live with yourself at the end of the day, like internally when you look inside and you provided something to somebody, you know that how much you've overcharged them or if you charge the fair rate. If you can live with that. If this guy who's doing the thing with the pills, if he knew that he could have saved hundreds of thousands of lives, but chose to fatten his pocket instead of that, I'm pretty sure when he has to answer to himself, he pretty, you know, he's looking at some shallow person and he's not happy with who he is.
Then in that result, like you can't be upset with where you're sitting at that point in time, whenever your resolve or your mentality was from the very beginning to make that money. You know what I mean? Or whatever it might be. I mean, in that point, I'm just saying, like, you have to be comfortable with the results from the decision that you make. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's interesting because, you know, I came from a spot of never intending to make money. I chose to do what I did because I thought it was interesting. I thought it was a challenge. I thought it was proof that anybody could do anything.
Right.
And then the more years I was an attorney, I started making money. I think that's different than how most people view things.
Mm-hmm.
I heard you say something right before we got on air, though, about, you know, I hope you don't mind I'm sharing, but you're a notary. You charge for your service.
Mm-hmm.
And a person that was doing a lot for another person needed a notary. And you said, you know what? I'm just going to do that one for free.
Yeah.
In lawyer speak, that's called pro bono work.
Mm-hmm.
And every lawyer is supposed to do a certain amount of pro bono work per year. And it's kind of like donating and things like that. But when we're talking about people fattening their pockets to this degree, that's the exact opposite of the expectation.
Right.
Right. And I feel like, I don't know if every society, probably every generation had it. And we're just focusing on one little piece of the elephant at this point. Right. But it is something that I wonder why more people don't naturally have.
Yeah. I would have thought that a pandemic like this would have struck into everybody's heart. You know, it gives you time. Whoever said they didn't have time before this surely had more time now, no matter who you are. You know what I mean?
Right.
Have at least more time to reflect back on. I don't remember exactly who you said, but you knew somebody who kind of fell out of their situation. Right. I think that's a perfect example of somebody who, a lot of these people who lost their jobs, maybe they had good jobs, maybe they had bad jobs, but nevertheless, they're in the same predicament now, jobless. I think take this time to evaluate yourself. Take this time that has been pushed onto you to think about what it is that you actually wanted to strive for in life.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And use it. right?
It's a beautiful
What
point.
better time than now?
We were talking about that a little bit off the air, right? As far as what do we do with this time? This time that we've had right now over this whole 6 weeks, however long, stay at home order, quarantine, however you want to put it. What have you done? Not you directly, but in general, what have we done, or what have you as a person, whoever you might be out there, what have you done with this time? Right. I know I spent a lot of time, and I mentioned it on here a couple times, but my fucking yard looks fucking amazing.
On fleek right now.
You know what I mean? And you know why it looks amazing right now is because I have spent a lot of fucking time sweating my balls off out there during this time to figure out something to do. I've been relearning Spanish. I've been actually re-listening to Spanish stuff on Audibles. I've been listening to Spanish podcasts. I started listening to some stuff about Crazy Horse, just getting into all, it depends on what it is. And then, and honestly, even now through all this, we're sitting here fucking doing tomato cans.
Living the dream.
Living the fucking dream. How long have we talked about this shit? And this is for real. We've talked about doing this shit and making these fucking podcasts happen for a couple years now.
Yeah.
And I've literally thought about, again, coming onto the fact that I'm not looking for pity, but I haven't been working with my own home inspection business right now because of all this. Well, with that being said, I refocus energy. You know what I mean? We refocus shit. We're sitting here right now. We're fucking doing this.
Yeah, the key is not to become stagnant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, there's all sorts of things.
All the people who lost their jobs, who hated what they were doing, now is your opportunity to go out there and figure it out what it is that you want to do and go chase after it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need more schooling. No better time than now when you're not doing anything.
Absolutely.
If you need to learn a new skill, go learn it now, man.
Yeah. You get one life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think people forget that.
Exactly.
The older we get, I think the more we forget it, and we get used to the way things were.
And we hold on to shit, right?
Hold on to stuff.
Hold on to, even I've said it, I've been saying it, and the phrase is stupid, but this whole the new norm,
Yeah.
that shit sounds so ridiculous. But think about it, right? We took for granted for years the ability to fucking be at a birthday party and somebody blows out the candles on the cake and then fucking gives you a piece of cake, and we're just like, that's the best fucking cake I ever had.
Right?
You know what I mean? Motherfucker, if I go to a birthday party now and somebody blows out that cake, I'm gonna be like, I'm not touching that fucking cake.
That's crazy.
You know
man.
what I mean? And that's that. That's the smallest, most minimal thing that you could think of. And we talked about it, B, but are we gonna be
cake? I don't know.
Hey, right? I've never eaten cake again.
I haven't had cake in a while.
I just ruined it for you, right? Think about that, and even we talked about it. Handshakes, hugs. Yeah. We still we all gave each other love whenever.
Yeah, but it was, there was that slight moment.
But I even said, I was like, I'll give you a hug if you want. You know what I mean? And then,
I can't live like that.
Yeah, I can't either, man. Fuck that.
So we just gonna start bowing.
I think we figure out who's the paranoid one, and then we'll just
fucking rape
them.
them.
Our people.
We'll ostracize them.
Just rape them. No, you just make
I didn't want to shake your hand anyways.
Fast forward 3 years, and we're all decrepit and sick.
Yeah,
everybody else is safe.
For sure. Yeah, man, that's fucking crazy to think about. Dude, we could literally go on about all this shit forever.
Right.
And there's a lot of stuff that we even talked about that we wanted to talk about in this amount of time that we haven't touched on. You know what I mean? But
yeah, man.
It's crazy. I don't know, man. I think maybe we should take a little break for a second.
Yeah, so, we definitely need to stop talking about Corona, man.
Yeah,
I'm fucking
agree,
sick of this
100%,
shit. Dude.
But fuck. Same thing. You get on a subject, you start running with it. All right. Well, before we get off here, I do want to say Dre Day. It was definitely good for you to finally make it. And,
Tomato Can Dre Day.
Tomato Can Dre Day, definitely one of them.
My pleasure, man. It's good to be with the homies.
Go ahead and give a plug to your business. Go ahead and let everybody know.
Hey, man, if you need a will or a trust, You have a family member who's passed away. You need assistance. Someone who you can trust. Someone who's gonna make it treat it with the respect it deserves. Feel free to reach out. See what you think of me. Pennington Law Estate Planning. I'm at a Surprise in Sun City West, Arizona. Thank you, man.
All right, no problem.
Sweet.
That's Pennington Law. That's fucking Dre Day. And I'm telling you right now, best planet in the world.
I'm a planet now.
Planet.
I mean, best lawyer. Best planet in the planet. Best lawyer in the planet.
Best planet in the galaxy.
I mean, I'm telling you right now, if you go outside the galaxy, this is the only galaxy and the only planet that you want to find Andre Pennington.
I just got it promoted.
Man, my bad. I fucked that all up.
It's all good.
Pennington Law, folks.
Yeah.
Maybe we should all plug in ours.
Yeah,
hey, let me plug in something real quick.
All right.
Amanda Pennington, I love you. I know I'm late. It's for a good cause. I love you, baby. I'm leaving soon.
Hey, it's for the podcast. Amanda, it's for the podcast.
Yep.
Tomato cans.
Tomato cans.
Tomato
All the
cans
way.
Tomato cans all day.
It's going to happen, man. B, go ahead and give a plug if you want.
I just actually recently repurposed our LLC, B-Vang Enterprise. Anything, if you need a male gigolo, I'm there, man.
He accepts side work.
Ethically, my lawyer ethics will not allow me to endorse you, even if I have full faith that you can do the job. Can't do it.
Can't do it, huh?
Right. And then for me, guys, Apex Property Inspections. It's just newly starting out, but here in Arizona, I want to be your premier home inspector. And any sort of questions you have for a house, I can always try to answer them the best I can. But if there's anything I can't answer, I'll definitely get to my lawyer. That's Andre Pennington at Pennington Law. I'll get to him, and then I'll get back to you first. But with that being said, you hear the alarm. I think it's about time for us to get off here. And hey, Dre Day.
Tomato
Can Dre Day. Thanks for making it. Tomato Can Be Nasty.
Tomato Can Sperm.
Tomato Can Sperm.
Deadly
Tomato
Gumby.
Cans. We out of here.
Peace.